Don't you notice that when you finally get over your ex, that's when they start crawling back? It's like clockwork. You spend weeks, maybe even months, working through the heartbreak, replaying memories in your head, wondering what went wrong, and finally, just when you reach that point of acceptance, they suddenly reappear. They might text you out of the blue, check up on you through social media, or casually bump into you at places they know you visit. It's as if they have a sixth sense for the exact moment you've moved on. The irony is almost laughable. When you were longing for them, checking your phone every few minutes, hoping to hear from them, they were nowhere to be found. But now, when you've finally pieced yourself back together and stopped looking back, that's when they decide to show up. Why is that? Why do people seem to reappear the moment you've emotionally detached? It doesn't just happen with exes either. Think about it. When you're finally happy in a new relationship, truly content and uninterested in anyone else, suddenly people you never expected start showing interest. It's like the moment you close yourself off to other possibilities, that's when they come flooding in. Maybe it's an old friend who confesses they've always had feelings for you. Maybe it's a random admirer who suddenly gets the courage to ask you out. It could even be that person who ghosted you months ago, now trying to rekindle something you've long forgotten. When you're no longer seeking attention, you suddenly become the center of it. It's almost as if people can sense your emotional availability, or the lack of it, and are subconsciously drawn to the challenge of winning you over. Or how about this? Whenever you decide to take some time for yourself, that's when people seem to need you the most. You finally carve out time to relax, to take that much-needed nap, and that's when your phone buzzes with a random text from someone you haven't heard from in ages. You're ready to unwind, and suddenly, you're pulled back into a conversation you didn't ask for. And it gets even more intense when you fully disconnect. Whenever I go on a meditation retreat, seeking peace and detachment from the noise of daily life, that's precisely when people try to reach me the most. I leave my phone behind, thinking I won't need it, and that's when I get urgent messages, missed calls, and people trying to get in touch. It's almost like they can sense I'm unavailable. It never fails. Right when I'm off the grid, that's when I get those urgent texts, or that one call I've been waiting on for weeks. It's like a magnetic pull, a paradox of human connection. When you're no longer accessible, people suddenly want your attention. Why does this happen? It seems too coincidental to be random. There's something almost magnetic about detachment. When you emotionally pull back, when you stop giving your energy and attention away freely, people feel it. It's as if the people around us can sense when our energy shifts. It's similar to how a mother instinctively knows when something is off with her child, even from miles away. There's an unspoken, almost mystical connection that allows people to pick up on emotional changes, even when they're not physically present. When your energy is no longer tied to them, they feel the absence. They feel the void where your attention used to be, and it unsettles them. They can feel it when your focus is no longer on them, especially if you were once extremely attentive or emotionally invested. If you were overly nice to the point of people-pleasing, or, on the other hand, if you were cold and distant, people can sense when that energy changes. And this is especially true for people-pleasers. People can detect when a people-pleaser starts to pull back. It's almost like an alarm goes off. When someone who is always accommodating and overly giving begins to set boundaries and prioritize themselves, it disrupts the dynamic. The people who benefited from your constant giving start to notice. And when they notice, they react. Sometimes in surprising ways. They might start reaching out more, trying to get your attention, or even testing your boundaries. It's almost as if your detachment threatens their sense of control or validation. Today, we're going to dive deep into what happens when you detach emotionally. We'll explore two main scenarios: what happens in person when you detach, and what happens when you're absent and out of sight. You'll see how people's behavior shifts in both situations. Let's start with detachment in person. When you're physically present but emotionally detached, you start seeing through people's masks. You see through their facades and notice the insecurities they're trying to hide. People can only feel confident and powerful around you if they sense that you're emotionally invested, needy, or weak. When you're transparent with your emotions, showing all your vulnerabilities, some people interpret that as weakness. They feel more in control, more powerful because they think they understand you. They believe they can predict your reactions and manipulate the situation to their advantage. But when you detach, that dynamic flips. When you stop being emotionally transparent, When you're no longer visibly needy, anxious, or overly accommodating, they lose that sense of control. They can't read you as easily, and that makes them uneasy. You see, when you're overly attached, your emotions are intense, and they spill out in obvious ways. It shows up in your facial expressions, in how quickly you respond to messages, or in the anxiety in your voice. It's like wearing your heart on your sleeve, and people can sense that. But once you emotionally detach, you stop giving off those signals. You no longer react out of desperation or anxiety. You respond calmly, if at all. And that change in your energy confuses people who are used to your emotional transparency. They start questioning what's going on. They wonder why they can't get the same emotional reaction out of you. This is why people often start chasing you when you detach. They sense the shift and become curious. They want to regain the control they felt they once had. They want to know why you're no longer affected by them, why you've stopped reacting the way you used to. Another thing that happens when you detach is that you naturally start setting boundaries. When you stop caring so much about people's opinions or losing their approval, you feel freer to say no. You're no longer driven by the fear of disappointing others or being rejected. And this shift is powerful. When you're no longer trying to please everyone or seeking validation, you set boundaries with ease. You don't tolerate disrespect or manipulation. You protect your peace and prioritize your well-being. People are often shocked when this happens. They're used to the version of you that was always agreeable, always accommodating, always putting their needs first. When that changes, it challenges their expectations. It's like they don't know how to respond to this new version of you. Some might even accuse you of being cold or distant, but in reality, you're just reclaiming your emotional independence. You're choosing yourself instead of bending over backward for others. So the next time someone starts showing interest just as you've emotionally moved on, remember this. They're not chasing you. They're chasing the energy they can no longer access. They're drawn to the mystery, the independence, and the confidence you've gained by letting go. Embrace that power. Keep your boundaries firm. Stay detached, not as a tactic to get people to chase you, but as a way to protect your peace, maintain your confidence, and live life on your own terms. And that's it for today's video. If you found this insight helpful or relatable, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content on psychology, dark psychology, and understanding human behavior. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you experienced this kind of energy shift? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation. And remember, detachment isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about reclaiming your energy and protecting your peace. So keep your boundaries firm and stay true to yourself. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep your mind sharp and your energy guarded. See you in the next video.